Hi, everybody. My name is Gabi, and I'm from Mexico. I have a bachelor degree in information technology. I also have a certificate in business analysis and in in management of enterprise data analytics. Currently, I work as a business architect, and I have done mostly business analysis, data analytics. I have used Excel for several years to manipulate data and to usually find new values out of it and extract or apply formulas at the end. Excel is a great tool. And what we are going to try to do is to talk about formulas and how we can combine them. Okay, so what I will do is to share my screen. Oh, please start by opening the file. The name of the file is 3 Hispanotech WSGR formulas. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know if you cannot see it, but I guess that we are all here. So let's start. Oh. In this workshop, we're going to talk about what is a formula, math operation, conditional functions, and also some lookup and reference functions. So pretty basic. Formula allows the users to manipulate the data that is in the cells. And there are several types of functions. Actually, Laura has already been showing us how to use some of them. And how does it work? It's pretty easy. We pretty much just have to select a cell, enter the equal sign, and from there we go. There is 3 forms. So here we have a simple example. We have cells from week 1, cells from week 2. And I'm going to delete this because we're going to calculate total sales and average. So one way of doing this, of doing formulas, is to position our cursor in the cell. Basic and pretty common formulas are here in the AutoSum. So if I want to get the total sales of the 2 weeks, I can just click in here, and then it will automatically understand or know that I want to do a summation of the values above. So if I press enter, I get my total sales there. Also, if I want to see a formula, I just have to go here to the formula bar. I could edit this here. I can change my formula. I can use here the assistant to insert a function. Here I can scroll from all the formulas that Excel has and select one. For example, average. I could use it here. Say enter. And then it also suggests me what I can do an average of. So it's doing from N66 to N69, which is not what I want. I want just to calculate the average of those 2 weeks. So I have there, it already evaluates the expression and provides the 2 amounts of each sales of each week. If I click on OK, it will, I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to enter the equal sign, type the name of the formula that I know, which is average. And I will enter the cell. In this case is N, I think that's 65 or 66, 66. It highlights it until, oops, N67. Close brackets, press enter, and I have the average there. So there are several ways to do this. We will be using different part of them. So we're going to, for our exercise, we're going to fill series. Already Laura explained it, so it's, here are the steps. It's going to be pretty easy. And we're going to start with functions and conditional functions. Functions like SumIF, that is the summation. If there is, if it meets a criteria, there is a conditional to do the summation. max that finds the maximum value, minimum finds the minimum value, average, we already did it. Count counts the number of cells. CountA counts if all the cells that are not empty. And counts the number of cells if they meet a certain condition. So we have here the syntaxes for SumIF, the syntax for SumIF. So here we have the criteria where it will look for the value. Here we have the value or our condition, and here we have the range of data that will sum. So if you want to later to go back to this for reference, that's okay. What I'm going to do is copy these exercises to our tab exercises, just for my reference to be reading easily. So I'm going to put here temporarily what this exercise is about. Let's start. But before that, I think that there are no questions. And if you think that I'm going too fast, just please let me know. So here first, what we have here is the same data set that Eugenio and Laura have been working with. Is the same table of employees. In here, we are going to have different type of exercises. So let's go to cell F35. And we are going to calculate here the total amount paid in salaries. So here we have the salaries of each one of these employees. And pretty easy, what we're going to do here is an auto sum. There it gives, Excel already gives the range of cells to sum up, even is adding the cell above that has, that has text, but that will work anyways. So I'm going to just press enter, and that will give us the amount, 1.5 million. So let's go to column J. Now we are going to count the number of employees. So for that, we're going to use a CountA function. In this case, I'm going to type the function. I'm going to type equal and then count. CountA will do it because that will not include the ones that are empty. And here I'm going to directly enter the range of cells that I want to use for this function. So everything is in column J. So we start in J number 2, Excel highlighted, and then we go until J number 31. So there everything is highlighted, all the values that I have. Close the brackets, press enter, and there we have it. We have 30 employees. So now let's go to cell E35. And in here, we're going to calculate the average age of the employees. So for that, we're going to do equal and then average. And then we'll enter the range as well. E2 to E31. We'll close the brackets and we'll press enter. All these functions are pretty basic in general, but they come very handy when we are doing calculations. So here in cell D35, we're going to find out who is our oldest employee. How old is our oldest employee? For that, let's use one function. Let's do it in a different way. I click in insert function. I know that is something like max something. So I got this here, max. Okay, and now it asks me for the value where I will start. I'm going to use my mouse to select all the range. So I'm going to say, okay. And that gives me the oldest one. The oldest age is 65. Now let's go to cell 635, in which we are going to find the youngest active employee. Here we are going to add a conditional. We're going to still work with formulas, but we're going to add a condition. I have here in column J whether these employees are active or not. Most of them are active. Y means that they are active, N means that they are not active. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say count. So here in count, they have some options. I'm going to use CountIF because it's only one criteria that I want to use. So I'm going to click here, and here it asks me for the range that is going to count. So the range that is going to count is going to be, oh no, hold on. I was testing myself. Since we are going to find the youngest one, the function is min. So it's min if. So here min if, first we're going to say in which range is going to find the minimum value. So that is going to come from the column E, that is age. So I'm going to say from E2, from cell E2 to E31. There we have it highlighted. Then we add a comma, and then I'm going to say what is my criteria, the criteria range. So I want to find out if in the column of active, it says yes, it will be evaluated. If it says no, it will not be evaluated. So I'm going to put there the criteria range is going to be J2 until J31. And then my criteria is going to be, I have to open quotes because I'm going to enter their text. I open quotes, Y, and then close the quotes. Then I'm going to close the brackets and press enter. So our youngest active employee is 21. I know that there is one employee that is younger, is 19, but this person is not active. So that was the reason why this function didn't consider that. Okay. No questions? We're going very good there. Awesome. So we were here in the youngest one. Okay, now we're going to go to cell G35 and find out how many of our employees are from Canada. For that function, we are going to use CountIF. So we're going to count the cell if the employee is from Canada. So my range is going to be in column G, that is the citizenship. In this case, I'm going to use my mouse to select the range. We can do also that. You can see how Excel does it differently. It finds, it knows there is a table, and then it says it's table 24, and you are using the citizenship column. So that's another way to do it. That is my range. And now I'm going to enter my criteria. Open quotes, type in Canada, close brackets. So I have it there. My condition is that is Canada, the country, and then my range is the citizenship column. I press enter, and it gives me the amount of employees that are from Canada. So we actually have just 4. That is here. Oh, okay, we have 1 there, 2 here. We have here 3 and 4. So Excel did the calculation. Now we're going to count how many employees were hired in the year 2015 or after the year 2015. So for that is just to play a little bit with dates. I know that I have the hiring date in the column B, so that is what I'm going to use. And the function that I will use is the same, CountIF. So I'm going to go CountIF. I selected from my formulas, and I'm going to give the range. So the range to consider is going to be B2 to B31. It highlights it. And then my criteria is if it is greater than 2015-0101. Even though it is a date, Excel will need to have this in quotes. So I'm going to open quotes, greater than 2015-01-01, oops, 01, and then I close quotes and I close the brackets. Press enter, and it tells me that we have hired 15 employees after that date. Okay. So last part of this exercise is pretty simple. Now we're going to calculate the total amount that we pay in salaries per year, but of all active employees. So that is going to be in this cell. We're going to modify one formula that we already have. And let's use the assistant. This time, let's use the assistant because sometimes we don't know all the criteria, all the data that we have to put in or how to structure it. And the assistant, the Excel assistant can help us with that. So we have 1.5 million there. I'm going to just delete it. And I'm going to go here to insert the function. So I know that what I want to do is something related to summations. Probably SumIF. So, okay, I have two options. One option is to sum if there is one criteria to evaluate. And the other option is if I have more than one criteria to evaluate. I only have one criteria. My only criteria is that they are active. So therefore, I'm going to select the first one, SumIF. So I said that. And then now the range that is going to sum is going to be column F. I'm going to select using the mouse. So I have selected it. And then my criteria, I said that my criteria is going to be, hold on. So we have here in our range is the range for the criteria. So this is the tricky part. Here for SumIF, we have first the range for the criteria, then that criteria, and then the range that we are going to sum. So we are going to modify this. And we are going to say my range for criteria is if they are active or not. So we go here to active or not. Then we say here, my criteria is that active has a Y. And then for each match is going to sum up here from the salaries. I select from the salaries. Okay, I think that we are good, everybody, until there. So here first we have the range for the criteria. And then we have our criteria that is Y. So they are active. And then we have the sum range that is the salary. So I'm going to click on OK. And here I have that the total salaries that we pay is 1.3 million per year. Okay. So that's it for the first part of our exercise. Are there any questions? No? Pretty easy, right? Excellent. So now let's go to the second part of the exercise. Let's use some logical and reference functions. Here in logical, we have if, and, or. For reference, we have Vlookup, we have match, there is XLOOKUP. And this one is for conditions. We're going to use it, this function is switch. It's available from the version 2016 of Excel. So if you are working with an older version of Excel, you may not have it. So, and there is another way to do it if we don't use switch. We can use nested ifs. So that's another way to do it. So again, well, we have a problem to solve. Management wants to work on the budget for the future year. So they want to find out how many employees are close to retirement, and they want to budget some gifts for them. The other thing that they want to calculate is to calculate next year's salary based on the performance results of their employees. Just that the performance results of the employees are in a different tab, in a different data set. So we're going to use to do those two things. Again, I'm going to copy this just for my reference, just to make it easy. Going to put it temporarily here. Okay, so let's get started. Here for retirement, we are going to put here in column K, we're going to find out who is eligible to retire in the next 5 years. So for this one, we are going to do something very simple. That is, we're going to do an if. So I'm going to enter, since it's a simple formula, I'm going to enter it manually. I'm going to say if, and then it comes my logical test. My logical test is if their age that I can find in E2 is greater than 55 years, because they could retire, have an early retirement since 55 years. If that condition is true, then my result is going to be, I want it to display a very simple yes. And if this condition is not true, I want it to display a very simple no. So now I'm going to close the brackets, press enter, and I have it here. For example, this person is 48 years, it says no. Next one, 27 years, it says no. And if you notice, Excel is using the auto completion of all the formulas. So as soon as I press enter, it auto completes the rest of the table. So that's one of the beauties of working with tables. So here I have this person, James Robert, that is eligible to retire. And then here I have another person that is eligible to retire. So I already have what I need to find what is next. In column L, I want to calculate the budget for retirement gifts. So there are a few conditions for that. One is that what we have in column K, sorry, is there a question? No?
Yes,
okay.
So if you could repeat the formula. Like, I think it's
okay.
Catherine is asking that. Yeah.
Oh, if.
Yeah, the if formula. Yeah.
Okay, we can repeat the previous one that it was. I'll do it quickly. Okay, so here we enter if. I'm going to say if, and here we have the logical test, then we have a comma. Then we have the value if it is true, if the logical test results true, this is the value. And then we have a comma, and then we enter here the value if it is false, if the evaluation is false. So here is going to be, my evaluation is that if the age that is in E, here in E2, is greater than 55, that is my logical test. If they are older than 55, they can retire. And my condition here, sorry, my result, if the condition is true, I wanted to say yes in this column. And if the person is not older than 55, I wanted to say no, because this person is not eligible to retire. So I use the commas here first to have the logical test. Then I have a yes, and then I have a no. And then I close the brackets, click enter. And when I click enter, Excel auto completes the rest of the formulas with the same formula. Okay, perfect. So that was if. So now we're going to find out to calculate a budget for the retirement gift. For the retirement gift, there are some conditions. One is that the employee is eligible to retire in the next 5 years. The other one is that management doesn't want to provide gifts to everybody. They want to provide gifts to people that was hired after 2019. And last but not least, the budget for retirement gift will be 2% of the annual salary. So we're going to do this with the steps. So we have two conditions. Pretty much we have two conditions in this case. And for that, we're going to use a function that is AND. If I have AND, I have first my first logical criteria, then a comma, and then the second logical criteria. So what I'm going to use is put an if and then an AND. And sometimes we have to do these things progressively. Sometimes the first try, we don't get the formula correctly right away, and that is okay. So here we're going to do an if, and then my logical test will start with an and here are going to be my conditions. So one condition is that the value that is in K, that is if it is going to retire soon, K2, in this case, the evaluation says no, that should be equal to yes. So that is my first condition. Then the second condition, I'm going to add a comma. And for the second condition, I'm going to go to the hiding date because and evaluate if that is greater than the hiding threshold date. The hiding threshold date is in A35. I have it here, just going to show you. So I put it on purpose here in one cell so that we are going to make a reference not to a hard data enter in the formula, but we can later change this date and the formula will keep working with the change of date that we will consider as our hiding date threshold to provide or to give a retirement gift. So then it comes my second condition, my second logic condition. So for that is going to be if the value, if the value that is in the hiding date in B2 is less than the hiding date, and the hiding date is A35. So we have there my second logical, and I'm going to close the logical part of the evaluation. For now, I'm going to keep it very simple, and I'm going to say retirement gift. I'm going to put text here, like yes. And if the value is, I'm going to say that we'll return a 0, just to keep the things very simple. Then we'll complete the formula. So here is providing A35 is no, so this person is not for retirement soon. But here, what Excel did is to autofill the formulas. But I want you to check something. So when Excel did the autofill, here we have an A35 to compare. But here in this one, it has A36. And in the cell A36, I don't have anything. So what I want to do is to make this A35 to freeze it, so that when Excel autofills the rest of the formulas, it's always comparing against this one cell so that it doesn't move it more. So for that, what we're going to do, we're going to go to the formula bar and position the cursor between A and 35 here, and then press F4, the function keys, F4. Once you press F4, we have here a money sign, a $sign before A, and a dollar sign before the 35. So what it will do is that it will make that A35 will always be the same. So after this, I'm going to press enter. And here we see how it changed. If I go here, it says B against A35. Here is a different B19 against A35. So this date is going to be always the same. And now here we can find who are the ones that are actually eligible for the retirement gift. So now let's go to the second part of this formula. Now let's make this yes, turn them into the amount that they will have for retirement gift. For that, I'm going to go back again to the first formula, and I'm going to work on the formula bar. And what I want to do is to, between these commas, this last comma and this comma, I'm going to replace this Y between quotes. I'm going to delete it. And what I'm going to do is to calculate the value. To calculate the value, I'm going to get the value from F2, that is the salary per year, and I'm going to multiply it for 0.02, because 0.02 will be the 2% of the annual salary. And that is if the conditions are met. If the two conditions are met, it will calculate the value for the gift. If the two conditions are not met, if one of them is not met, it will return 0. So I'm going to press enter, and that updated the formula in the whole table. So here we have a 2% of his annual salary of 73,000 is 1,400. Here we have a $900, and here we have a $1,085 gift. Questions on that? I think that we are good. Perfect. So last but not least, we're going now to calculate the merit salary increment conditions. So here management wants us to calculate the new year salary. So that salary is going to be based in the current salary, but also in the results of the performance review from the employees. If we go here to the other tab, to performance data, we have here a table. And in this table, I have here the employee ID. That is something that we are using here. We're going to use it for the Vlookup. We have the hiring date. It changed the format. It doesn't matter because we are not going to use that. And then we have the last name, and we have the result of the performance. So it says here if the expectations were met or were exceeded, or if the employee didn't meet the expectations. So based on the results is that we are going to calculate the new salary. For that, I'm going to turn this data set into a table. Just how Laura explained us, I'm going to select the data and I'm going to do Control-T. So yes, that is the range, and my table has headers. And I'm going to change the name, because if I change the name, it's going to be easier to do this. I'm going to say T performance. And that's going to be the name of my table. So now this table is called T performance. When I make reference to it, Excel will know. So now let's go back to the exercises tab. And here, to calculate the new salary for each employee, the criteria is going to be if the employee has and exceeds the expectations, then they will have a 6% increase. If they have meets the expectations, is going to be a 3%. And if they have a doesn't meet the expectation, there will be no increase in the salary. So that is our criteria. Let's use the function switch and the function Vlookup. What does Vlookup do? Vlookup goes to another table to find data that we don't have in this table. So in here, in this table, I don't have the information if they met the expectation or if they didn't meet the expectation. That is in here in performance data. But if I use the Vlookup, it will tell me if they met the expectation or not. So what I want us to do in this for this exercise or for this formula is to do it in parts, because it's going to use a couple of functions at the same time. So first of all, let's go and look for Vlookup to bring the information if they met or not or didn't meet the expectation. So here we have the lookup value. My lookup value is going to be the employee ID. So it's very important for Vlookup, you need to have the leftmost column with the same information, with the same data. It has to be the same in this table and in this table. And actually it works here. So that's why we have the employee ID. So, oops, sorry. So here we have the lookup value is going to be A2 2, what we have here in the employee ID. And then it will ask for the table array. For this, we're going to use that table name. We just name this table T performance. If we start typing, it suggests there, T performance. We're going to select it and then add a comma. And then it will ask for the column that we want to bring the result. So I'm going to go back to performance data and show you which is the column that we want to bring the data. So this is the table. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In column 5 is where I have the information that I'm going to use for the evaluation of the criteria. So I'm going to say that is column 5 and the range lookup. This is something very important. If you use false, it's going to look for an exact match between your lookup value and what you have in your table. And if you say true, it's going to find an approximate match. So we want to find an exact match. We're going to say false. We're going to close it. And here I brought the information. I brought meets or exceeds. But this is not really the whole exercise. Now we need to return a value depending on this, on the VLOOKUP. For that, I'm going to change the formula. I'm going to add a switch at the beginning. So I'm going to add here, I start typing switch. And here in switch, I can see how is the structure. First, I have the expression. Okay, we only have 5 minutes. So here we have the expression, we have the value if the result is the first value, or then if we have the second value. So my expression is actually the one that I already entered, the VLOOKUP. So depending on if it is meets or exceeds or doesn't meet, that is my value. So here the second part is I'm going to say if it exceeds, if it exceeds, then I'm going to add a comma, and the result is going to be what is in F4, that in F2, that is the salary. And I'm going to multiply it for 1.06. 1.06 will be the 6% incremental. My other option in this switch is going to be meets. I enter meets, I close the quotes, and the result will be F2 multiplied for 1.03. Last but not least, if the value is not exceeds and is not meets, then we know that it didn't meet. That will be just the value that we have in F2, that is the salary. The salary will not have a change. So I'm going to close the brackets and press enter. And here we have it. So now it has calculated a different salary depending on the results. For example, we have here, let's just do a spot checking. First one has a meets. So this person should have a 3% increment salary. So I'm going to use here Excel to do my spot checking. Is F2 at 3% is 52,000. Here we see what did Excel did is an autofill, and then it brought here the same formula for the next one, but it's not the same. So if we go to performance data, it's because this person exceeds the expectations. So this person will have a 6% salary increase in the salary, and so on. So I'm going to delete this one. And that's everything for formulas. Do you have any questions? Thank you, Carlos. Yes,
Yes.
I learned also about switch, and
I have
otherwise I would have used it with if. Sorry?
I have a quick question for the switch formula. For the people who don't meet the who doesn't meet the expectation, you didn't write like quotes and doesn't meet. You just put the column value or whatever. You didn't.
The salary.
Mm-hmm. Ah, okay, just the salary, but you didn't have to put like between quotes doesn't meet and then the salary. No, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't have to. And what I'm doing here is using some other kind of logic. I could have added another option that will be doesn't meet, and then just say F2. However, I know that if it doesn't fall in exceeds and if it doesn't fall in meets, it's going
The
to
only
be
other
didn't
option
meet.
is that. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
and that's why I just didn't put it there. It just
Okay,
defaulted to the normal salary, no increase.
perfect. Thank you, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. I have just one suggestion for you, something that I found actually in these last days. I have here a version of Microsoft Office 65, and they have tutorials. If you go here to new, you can open this Get Started with Formulas, and they have a lot of examples and more information. And they have it for different things. So in case that you are looking for something that was not covered here, or that you want to practice, because they are offering some simple examples that you can do while you are reading it, I found it very helpful. So that will be everything I have, and thank you for joining in this workshop.